Before 1945, nearly every Canadian house was built with a front porch. Within a single generation, they vanished, replaced by garage doors. Most people assume it was just modernization. It was not. The Canadian front porch was engineered out of existence by a federal agency, a mortgage rulebook, and a set of approved blueprints that made it first unaffordable, then in many cases, effectively illegal. Walk down a typical Canadian suburban street built after 1950. The dominant feature facing the sidewalk is not a front door or a living room window, but a massive projecting double garage. If there is a porch at all, it is often a shallow concrete ledge, barely wide enough for a welcome mat, let alone a chair. This layout is historically unusual for generations. From the stone stoops of Italy and Greece to the deep verandas of Latin America, the front of the home served as a social bridge, supporting daily, unplanned contact with neighbours. Even on older Canadian streets in Montreal, Toronto's Annex, or Victoria's James Bay, the domestic edge meets the sidewalk directly. Today's suburban frontages have severed this connection. By pushing the living space back and pulling the driveway forward, the modern streetscape makes casual, face-to-face community life nearly impossible. Before 1945, the front porch was a standard feature of Canadian residential construction. Eaton's mail-order home catalogues from the 1880s through the 1930s routinely presented verandas as a normal selling feature, included in the base price of a house. Local builder pattern books treated these covered platforms as an expected part of the structure. This architectural element was highly practical, operating as a climate buffer that kept interiors cool in summer and protected front doors from winter snow. Socially, it functioned as a threshold, connecting private family life to the public street. This design emerged from colonial traditions, adapting the British veranda and the French-Canadian gallery to the national climate. For generations, these structures shaped daily neighborhood interaction, long before federal financing rules and national building codes transformed the Canadian housing template. At the close of the Second World War, Canada faced a severe housing shortage. Returning veterans needed immediate, affordable shelter, prompting a massive federal response. The passage of the National Housing Act of 1944 changed everything, establishing the rules for modern Canadian housing. To administer this new system, the federal government created the Central Mortgage and Housing Corporation, or CMHC, in 1946. Suddenly, home design was no longer a matter of local tradition or individual builder preference. CMHC introduced a standard blueprint library offering pre-approved house plans directly to builders. If a home met these exact specifications, it qualified for federally backed mortgage insurance. But this speed came with a trade-off. To keep these bungalows cheap and fast to build, CMHC officials analyzed every expense. Inside this new national delivery system, the front porch was no longer seen as an important social space. It was categorized as an unnecessary cost. Internal calculations revealed that a full veranda added roughly 10 to 15% to the framing cost of a standard small home. Under the new federal guidelines, the porch became a luxury that mass-produced housing could no longer afford, quietly dropping off the national template. By the mid-1950s, the Central Mortgage and Housing Corporation looked south for its next design shift, modeling its mortgage insurance program directly on the US Federal Housing Administration. This policy alignment brought American planning templates into Canadian suburbs, treating the automobile as the primary organizer of domestic space. Under these new guidelines, federal mortgage approvals either required or strongly incentivized attached garages. To keep construction costs low, developers realized they could shorten paved driveways by positioning the garage at the very front of the lot. The garage was no longer a separate structure tucked away in the backyard, and instead it became the dominant, street-facing element of the home. This front lot placement entirely reorganized the property. By pulling the car shelter to the curb, builders pushed the living space back, leaving no physical room and no functional purpose for a traditional porch to connect with the street. Municipal zoning authorities soon locked this car-centric layout into law. During the 1950s, new zoning codes across Canada strictly separated residential streets from commercial areas, eliminating neighborhood destinations like corner stores, dry cleaners, and local cafes. Without these daily focal points, pedestrian traffic dwindled, stripping the residential streetscape of the casual foot traffic that once made sitting outside meaningful. At the same time, municipal planners mandated large front yard setbacks. These rules forced houses far back from the sidewalk, turning the front yard into a vast manicured lawn rather than a shared transition space. If a homeowner attempted to add a porch later, local subdivision bylaws often classified the structure as an illegal encroachment into the required yard setback. The municipal rulebook made porches functionally useless and administratively difficult to build, finalizing the retreat from public street life. The physical removal of the porch altered more than just the look of Canadian neighborhoods. It quietly dismantled a piece of daily social infrastructure. While design alone cannot force people to become friends, the layout of a street determines how often they cross paths. A 2008 study from the University of Virginia measured this dynamic directly. Researchers found that residents living on walkable streets equipped with front porches knew an average of 6 neighbors by name. On car-oriented streets, that number dropped to just 1.4. These numbers matter because those small daily encounters build what urban theorist Jane Jacobs identified in 1961 as eyes on the street. Sitting on a porch provided a natural, passive layer of safety and neighborhood cohesion, keeping residents connected to their surroundings. Without that physical platform, people retreated indoors, contributing to a steady rise in social isolation that researchers have tracked since the 1970s. By 2024, data from the Angus Reid Institute revealed that over 1 in 3 Canadians feel lonely often or always. Today's streetscapes offer no casual middle ground between the total privacy of the living room and the anonymity of the asphalt. When Canadian communities traded the porch for the driveway, they traded spontaneous street life for a quiet, private isolation. By the late 1990s, planners tried a different approach. Master-planned communities like Cornell in Markham and Mackenzie Town in Calgary restored the front porch as a mandatory feature. These developments paired the porches with rear laneways for car access, narrowed the local streets, and brought front doors back toward the sidewalk. Surveys in these neighborhoods showed measurable gains in daily neighborliness, lower vehicle use, and a stronger attachment to place. Yet these projects remained rare exceptions. High land costs and developer hesitation toward unfamiliar layouts prevented these ideas from scaling up. The post-war blueprint that pushed the living room back and brought the garage forward was never officially rescinded. It simply remained the default template for the Canadian suburb. The front porch functioned as the physical expression of a social contract. It declared that a private home belonged to its street as much as to the family inside. Decades ago, post-war planners saved minor construction costs by stripping porches from the national housing template. Today, public systems spend billions of dollars addressing the consequences: chronic loneliness, mental health strains, and fractured social cohesion. While the front-facing garage successfully solved a suburban parking problem, it was never a neighborhood solution. Canada must ultimately decide if it can keep pretending the driveway was ever a substitute. Today, our streets reflect this silent trade-off. When we dismantled the porch, we lost a social technology that bound communities together. Bringing it back isn't just nostalgia, it's about deciding what kind of neighbors we want to be. Join the conversation below.